Welcome back to the Northern Steel Podcast, a podcast where we talk about the Steelers, a team coming off a loss. And this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a sad one. But we're not so sure. But before we get into that, my name is Dominic, this is Chris, this is episode 64. 64 after that famous Steelers player, Chris.
Steve Furness, of course, who played a key role in the Steel Curtain and won 4 rings.
Classic. Legendary guy. I love Steve Furness. He's really heating up these days.
Hey.
I was going to say Doug Legursky, but I didn't know if that was his number or not. Regardless, the Steelers lost to the Cleveland Browns, lost to DTR on a last-second field goal, had many chances to win that game. And this podcast is going to be a lot about Kenny and negatively about Kenny. It still is going to be about Kenny. Aha, Doug Legursky was 64. Look at that memory. Like a steel trap.
Wow.
This podcast is going to be still about Kenny, but a little different way, so we're going to get into that. But like always, we do the highlights every week. And we always talk trash about other teams, especially the Browns when we beat them. So it is only fair that we talk trash about the Steelers when they suck, like they do. So if you are a Browns fan or anybody watching or listening, please enjoy these highlights. And if you miss the game because you're too busy doing literally anything else, reading a book, watching paint dry, looking at the grass grow, we have got you covered. Really, NFL? 5 minutes of highlights for this game? Well, here's the reason why. When you need to show punting highlights, any way to hit the 5-minute, 30-second mark, this will pin the Steelers back deep in their own territory. And on the very first play, Myles Garrett screams through the line and sacks Kenny Pickett for a would-be sack. I mean, we had to show a minute of a punting highlight before we even got to one good play. This highlights. Who's editing these? This should have been a safety, but of course the ref sucks, so no call, and Browns don't challenge because they know at the end of the day, they don't need those 2 points to win. Just be glad Myles Garrett didn't have a helmet this time to attack the quarterback with the game while the game progresses. Maybe that would have helped, though. Now it's DTR time, and he's going to make this look really easy, throwing to a wide-open David the Zuko Njoku. Then Jerome Ford finds a crease, and he gets loose for a big gain. This might as well we might as well give him some more yards by tugging on the face mask. The first of many penalties for the Steelers, and just a banner day for the black and gold. Finally, the Browns cap off the drive with a touchdown to Jerome Ford, who, upon further review, just barely, and I mean barely, after many different angles, sneaks his forearm over the end zone. And just in case you have no idea, here's a replay of it, and I'm sure NFL.com will show 5 more replays of it. Because you didn't watch the game. You have no idea how this unfolded. You can't check the box score, but they got a touchdown. Somebody hire me to these highlights. I am begging. Just keep padding the time until I myself end up in a padded cell for watching this team in these highlights.
Steelers trying to get anything going, find themselves in a very manageable 3rd and short situation. Kenny hikes the ball, most likely stares at one receiver for too long, and gets sacked for a huge loss. Not the play call I would have done, as Steelers now must punt. Myles Garrett benefits from the sack, and I benefit by losing internet connection, not being able to watch the remainder of the half. Nothing notable happens like most of the game, so here's a field goal, I guess. Start of the second half, and we need to get any kind of momentum. Why not get the miniature wrecking ball himself, Jaylen Warren, as he bobs and weaves and rips off a huge touchdown run. Phenomenal vision by Warren and great blocking up front leads to a score and will not give this offense some confidence moving forward. This is the longest Steeler touchdown run since Willie Parker's 75-yarder in Super Bowl 40, and only feels right that the cousin of Fast Willie Parker himself is the one to do so right here.
Oh, what do you know? Another punting highlight. This time an absolute shank by the inconsistently consistent Presley Harvin. Plus a good return by the Browns sets them up with great field position. But will the Browns do anything with it? Not right now, at least. as the Steelers have realized they refuse to push the ball down the field, so JPJ tips the short route up in the air and it's picked off by Chandon Sullivan. Nice for the worst cornerback on the team to get a little gift this holiday season. But now Steelers have the ball, or should I say Jaylen Warren has the ball. This is his drive, his game, and if I'm the coaches, I'm giving him the ball more. We need a 3rd and 13 converted, give it to Warren. Hand off the ball, give it to Warren. And watch this dude make the number 1 defense look like small little boys, if only for a moment, by continuing stiff-arming this team in the face, because nobody wants to be touched by a Brown. And oh, you know what? Let's hand it off again, because guess what? It just keeps working. Surely this guy who has over 100 yards rushing already will get more touches, right? Or somebody might lose their job. Alas, on 2nd down, instead of throwing it to the wide-open DJ for the game-winning touchdown, Kenny takes another sack by Myles Garrett. And you know what? Let's just show the 3rd down play to add some time. We don't really need it because it's 3rd and 22, but yes, Najee Harris, give me 1.5 points in fantasy. I need it. A bummer of a drive, but it ends in a Boswell chip shot, which he makes easily. And this will put it to a tie game with 7:40 left in the game and a barn burner of a legendary NFL action.
Late in the game, this is where you need a big defensive play as TJ Watt pushes his blocker back and brings DTR to the ground for a sack. They do punt, but I agree with the NFL to skip forward because I would dare to claw my eyes out if I had to watch our offense throw 3 incompletions and punt in 13 seconds all over again. Pathetic play calls, and these are the things that make people lose their jobs. Any whoosies, this defense who stopped DTR all game ends up making him look like a hybrid of Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, and any other sport goat there is as he picks apart this defense slowly and painfully, play after play. You know, Brent, the Browns end up driving into field goal range with 5 seconds left on the clock. They line up the kick, and they kick the game-winning field goal. And I kick any dream I ever had of the Steelers being good this year.
And that's where the cookie crumbles, folks. Great times for all, fun times to be had. Like I said before, also pardon my voice. It sounds like garbage right now. Might be getting a little cold because I'm sick of this team. We were going to talk about Kenny. We were going to talk about I mean, very negatively, and we still kind of will, not as much, but he had a terrible game, absolutely terrible. Matt Canada had a terrible game calling plays, and we're going to talk about if Kenny can be the guy and what that looks like for the future, because nothing will change and the Steelers don't change. And then we wake up on Tuesday morning and they changed a little bit, much to our surprise.
The sun was shining a little extra bright, I felt, on Tuesday morning, and I knew it was going to be a good day, but I didn't know how good of a day it was going to be. Thus, waking up to the news that Matt Canada has been relieved of his duties and is no longer a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. Praise be his name. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
And that's great. That really is great. And it really shifts the tone of what we want to talk about. But before we get into... I know everyone's celebrating that, and that's awesome. And if you're a Steelers fan, you've already known that Matt Canada's fired. I want to really be back in a sec, not to talk about any negative with it, but these are kind of some thoughts I had. On more of like the pessimistic side, this should have been done last year in the offseason. Chris and I have said this multiple times. And if you want to do it in the season, this should have been done during the bye week. But now we're doing it week 10. Tomlin said that this was his decision because they weren't scoring enough points. I have a feeling that he was losing the locker room. That's why he did it. I think the players forced his hand. A lot of people frustrated, upset, verbally, physically. That's hard to get around. I think he was going to lose the locker room, so a change had to be made. And of course, you have to make a change where it's either Canada or you bench Pickett. And they put number one stock in this guy that they hope can be the guy. And Matt Canada's resume over 3 years is like the worst I've ever seen from any coach ever. So there's your decision right there. You got to make that decision. On the optimistic side, you can say, because we talked about this, I think, on the podcast, that the Steelers could make the playoffs. I still think they could, as bad as they are, because of the AFC kind of struggling here and there, and the way their schedule's kind of laid out. I think they could still make the playoffs. And we talked about how bad it would be that Matt Canada could keep his job because we make the playoffs. Well, now we know for sure, 100% guaranteed, that Kenny will have a new OC next year. Don't know who that will be. It could be the two guys running the show right now. Offensive coordinator, Eddie Faulkner. Co-offensive coordinator, Mike Sullivan. Mike Sullivan calling the plays, who's the quarterback's coach. Eddie Faulkner, the running back's coach. They'll be sharing offensive duties. And if they do good enough, they could be keeping their job, which we do not want. I just want to put that out there. We do not want that at all. But that is a possibility that could happen. But we do know Matt Canada's not coming back. That's for sure thing.
That was by far my biggest fear, and probably is my biggest fear right now when it comes to the interim offensive coordinator and play caller. I know Eddie Faulkner has made comments in the past talking about wanting to take a shot at being an offensive coordinator for this team specifically. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up happening because that's just the way the Steelers roll. They are an internal, loyal group to each other. Hence why we are also the least staffed team in the entire NFL. And I think that goes without saying. I mean, just look at some of the decisions that are made, like the lack of preparation, maybe like the lack of development in some of these players. I think coaching obviously goes a long way. I think we have a good coach, or what can be a good coach in Mike Tomlin. I just think we need better staff around him and maybe more staff to be honest.
Lot more staff.
Yeah. So, obviously this is what it's going to be moving forward. I don't anticipate Kenny taking big steps with Matt Canada being gone. Maybe we just start getting back to the basics. I know you and I talked about this on the phone, but it's not let's
talk about that because I think a lot of people think that Kenny is going to look drastically better, and I don't think so. Okay?
No, it won't happen. I hope
because
but it won't.
Because it's the same playbook, right? The Matt Canada's biggest problems was play calling and the sequences of the plays in which he called. Those being changed could have a big effect. A miscommunication, a lot of it, while still being week 11, is also a big problem. I know that this word scares Steeler fans and we don't want to hear this, but maybe they simplify it more even. Simplify things so we're not having miscommunication issues as much. Because that is a big problem. It's been a big problem still to this day.
Yeah.
I think what it looks like going forward, hopefully, you see some improvement. If you're a Steeler fan, this move tells you that Kenny Pickett will be the starter next year. I know a lot of people are done with him. I'm really sick of the way he's been playing. And people are making mock drafts to draft a quarterback for next year. But it's very clear that like they chose Kenny. They want to see him improve, and they want to give him a new OC. Or see him in a different offense. And now everyone's saying you have a 7-game window to prove us wrong. I personally think if you want to hang your hat on something, if you want to look forward to next year to improve, he doesn't need to do much because he hasn't done much up to this point. He has 6 touchdowns in week 11. I think it's fair to say, Chris, and I hope you would agree, that in these next 7 weeks, if he throws another 6 or 7 touchdowns, that would be an improvement.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
go ahead.
It's just he is by far, and I mean, I think statistics have shown this, but Kenny has the lowest touchdown ratio, like by passing attempts in like NFL history right now, which is not a stat that you want to be proud of. Yes, he's keeping the ball out of the hands of defenders, but that's without saying he's had some luck too, because I've seen some balls hit defenders' hands and chests that he's thrown that have just not been caught, thankfully. But at the same time, yeah, I totally agree. I think if Kenny can end this year strong like he did last year and throw and double his touchdown total, I will see it as an improvement and it will give me hope into next year. We said it earlier too, where he needs, new leadership. He needs a new offensive coordinator. And I truly believe if we go out and we get somebody that is good at that role and position, I have faith in Kenny. At the moment, I don't. I think he's beaten up. I think he's lacking a lot of confidence in himself, even though he says he isn't. But at the same time, like, how much of that is just putting on a face and talking to the media? Because the media always wants to, take things out of context, be like, he's losing faith in himself and whatever do they want to do with it, paint the picture. But that all being said, I feel like that dude that we saw excel is still there somewhere. I think we just need the right coaching to bring him out. There's a quote I saw from Jalen Warren talking about how he sees that dude in practice. Like Kenny slings it, apparently, from what I understand, hearing it from Jalen Warren and the quote that he said, but he's like, he's still that dude. He slings it around. We know he has the capabilities, and we're all going to stand with Pickett until otherwise. But where is that? And that's my problem. I got to see it, and we got to see the improvement. 6 touchdowns in the last 7 weeks. I would 100% take that and look forward to next season.
Exactly. And now we're looking forward to a new OC. Hopefully it is someone outside the organization. And honestly, Chris and I, kind of like the draft, we like to scout people and do things up. I haven't really taken the time to look into that. I know a lot of people have opinions on on who this player should, or who this coach should be. Some people saying Byron Leftwich, which I'm not thrilled about, but we'll talk about that at a different time. People saying Byron Leftwich, people from the 49ers coaching tree, from the Vikings coaching tree. I think the 49ers is Clint Kubiak. Someone from the Seahawks coaching tree. Lincoln Riley from USC. And I mean, we even saw it today, Chris. I don't know why it's a betting favorite. I don't think it's going to happen, but we saw Big Ben as a betting favorite for new OC.
That'd be cool.
It would be cool. Someone made a good point. I saw a tweet, and I actually agree with this, where it said, Ben was not really a football junkie. He was just a natural gifted talent.
Yeah.
I don't think he watched a ton of tape. But when he called his own plays on the field, he was a general, and he could drive down there like nobody's business, especially when they needed a clutch. Just know that if we had Big Ben as our OC, you can expect a lot more pass plays. I'll tell you that much right now. Because Ben's going to be slinging the ball. He's going to want Kenny to sling it too.
Regardless of what happens, I just hope whoever takes the reign works directly with Pickett and is like, look for these things, spread the ball around, stay in the pocket, just works on those weaknesses, because
totally
we need that.
Totally. And we'll get into that. As far as other Steeler news, there's they signed some new linebackers, a familiar face as well. They signed Miles Jack to the team. He'll be playing linebacker. Welcome back, Miles. They signed Blake Martinez, Pokemon card dealer extraordinaire, who was selling fake cards, got in trouble. Signed Blake Martinez as a middle linebacker. He had some more linebacker help. Signed Eric Rowe, defensive back. He's had some time in Miami. He's played. That's some good defensive help. We need that. And then I think the biggest news, hopefully, hasn't happened yet. I hope it happens sometime this week, maybe next week, is Shaquille Leonard, formerly known as Darius Leonard, got released from the Colts. And that is huge. He's had a really bad year, supposedly. He's had a downtime from last year, too. I would take him. I don't care. He's all pro, a Pro Bowl guy. He's had some really good years. Even if he's on his last legs, he's not doing good. We need linebackers. And a dude like that, with that kind of mentality and charisma and leadership, bring him over. I would love to have that dude on my team. So look out for that as potential addition, because that would be huge.
Sometimes when you have those additions too of those big name players, it kind of revitalizes them a bit. I mean, I think a good example, and he didn't do bad in Chicago, but why can't I think of his name? The Ravens guy.
What? Oh, Roquan Smith?
Yeah, Roquan Smith. I mean, he did fine and was pretty good with Chicago, but I feel like ever since, he went into Baltimore's defense, he's been playing really well. Baltimore had a huge step up with their defense and kind of brought them back to the top 5 that they are used to being. So who knows? Maybe if we are lucky enough to get Shaq Leonard on our defensive team. I think he could be a great leader, especially if we get guys like Holcomb back. I think having those middle linebackers set would be pretty attractive, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think Quan's got a 1-year deal. I'd love to get him back, but like you said, if we get Shaq, then you got Cole Holcomb back next year, Quan Alexander, Shaq Leonard, and Atlanta Roberts, who plays really good football. He really does.
Yeah,
Track the
he
ball
really
and run
does.
defense.
I love you, Rob.
You're looking at like a really solid core of middle linebackers. I was thinking that one of the top positions we need to draft last year or this upcoming year was middle linebacker. And if you sign someone like Shaq Leonard, you don't have to draft someone like that right away. You can wait a couple rounds and maybe get your guy. Let's now this week, we're playing the Bengals. First time we're playing the Bengals this year. A lot different look for the Bengals than we were expecting before the year. They're a 5-5 team. Joe Burrow's out for the year with an injury to his wrist, and they're starting quarterback Jake Browning, his first official start. So, with that being said, kind of like last week, and for the first time, not really knowing what to expect, here's our segment that we like to call
Keys to the Game.
Take it away.
Alrighty, so one of the greatest things that we do on this show is the keys to the game, because they're always different and they're never the same, and they're always unique and not the same. Anyway, going into this week, yeah, it's gonna be maybe a little bit different than how it was last week, going up against the number one defense in the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, divisional matchups are tough as is, and going into Cincinnati, regardless if they have, playing Cincinnati, regardless if they have Joe Burrow or not.
We're going into Cincinnati. It's away.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep.
Is going to be a challenge. I think they have grown as a franchise in the last few years, and they have a lot of star talent on their team. But some things to note is they have a couple injuries. Mostly the biggest one right now, who is questionable, is Sam Hubbard. We saw how picked apart we got at the offensive line when it came to pass plays. Granted, I think Kenny held onto the ball a little bit too long. But as far as poor vision, pass protection,
and Dan Moore sucks.
Dan Moore does suck, but any kind of help to get these guys out of the lineup can only be beneficial for us. And it also looks like T. Higgins on the offensive side is also questionable, which I know they still have Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd, both really good receivers, but obviously any help we can get, especially bearing that Joey Porter Jr. is our only feasible defensive back in this entire squad, is helpful. Now, Dom, I don't know. Have you heard any updates as far as Minka, if he's coming back or not, or if he's kind of day to day? Or
have not yet. Have not heard anything. I know that he's trying to play, so I haven't heard anything with that. I will say too, just not to go back too far, but JPJ had his first tough outing against the Browns. Amari Cooper, one of the best route runners in the league, was really dicing him up. It wasn't as bad as the first time the Browns played the Steelers with Patrick Peterson Levi, but he was getting them on those inside slants. And, JPJ is going to go up against Jamar Chase. So, but at the same time, I'm okay. I'm okay to live with him losing some of these battles, because there's only one way to grow, and you got to play the best of the best. And he's going to play these guys two times a year. So look for that battle as something that could. Regardless who's playing quarterback, that's still a good battle there on the outside.
Absolutely. And that's a big key to the game, I think, is obviously the positional battle there between JPJ and whoever he covers, which is most likely Jamar Chase. Obviously, he's been playing really well, and we need to continue that play. Like Dom said, he had a little bit of a struggle against Amari Cooper. Those games are going to happen, but learn and grow from him. If we can neutralize Jamar Chase, get him out of there, and then just kind of focus the other guys on Tyler Boyd or T. Higgins, whoever's out there, I think that should help us out. And the more that we can keep these guys covered and the ball back in Jake Browning's, is that his name? I don't even know his name. His hands, the more time we have for our defensive front to get in there and sack them. Our defensive front has been pretty abysmal the last few weeks. I mean, we have guys TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith. I know TJ Watt has gotten a sack the last few weeks, but we're just not getting any pressure to the quarterback at all. And so something's got to change there. I don't know if it's just moving around guys too much or what it is, but we got to get pressure to the quarterback, especially a guy with not a lot of experience. I think that's just going to make him nervous, force balls where they don't need to go. Deshaun Watson, and then, just keep the defense strong. Obviously, this week, run the ball. Jaylen Warren is going off. He is having an absolute tear the last 3 weeks. He leads the NFL in rushing and yards per carry. When a dude's hot like that, keep him going. I'm not saying don't give the ball to Najee. Maybe in certain situations, play to their strengths and alternate them, obviously for resting purposes. But Jaylen Warren is really hot right now. And if you have a run game going, keep the run game going. All right. Keep the play calls consistent, play smart, and Kenny just build confidence. That's going to be a big key for him, not only for this game, but moving forward. Give him plays, make the playbook simple again before you open it back up. Give him confidence and see what he can do. This is not as much a game relied on him, but it's still a very big part. I mean, obviously, quarterback play is essential in winning these games, keeping it safe, but also driving us down the field. Even if it's just for field goals, points matter, especially in divisional matchups. So those are mine. Dom, you have anything to add to that?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, my keys to the game, too. When you're talking about the defense and not getting pressure, you got to imagine, I don't know Jake Browning that well. This is his first career start. You got to imagine that a lot of his plays, they're going to take the DTR playbook and they're going to take the CJ Stroud playbook in a way, too. Because both those quarterbacks threw with the ball with under 10 seconds. With under 2 seconds in the pocket. That's hard to get to the quarterback when they're throwing the ball so quick. But, the routes are short. So during that whole second half against the Browns, the Steelers played pretty much press man the whole time and knew the ball was going short and were able to stop the Browns. I think they had 23 yards of offense for a while until that last drive where they drove down the field because he's actually pushing the ball down the field some more. But I think you have to kind of anticipate that they're going to be doing some short routes. They want to get the ball out of his hands so they don't have to face TJ Watt and face those rushers. So you got to anticipate that. I would also say, obviously, the running game is huge for that, but the keys to the game, a big key to the game to me is Kenny's confidence. And like I know you mentioned already, but get him the plays that he likes, get him throwing the ball out there, get him some, and I'm not talking check downs, I'm not talking short routes, get him some good plays he feels comfortable with. Give him put the ball in his hand. Don't make him the reason why we win, but help him be the reason why we succeed for this week.
Totally agree.
Let's move on. This is kind of a shorter one because it's the day for Thanksgiving. Happy Turkey Day to everybody
Happy Turkey Day.
Who wants to listen to a podcast on Thanksgiving. But it's a shorter one. We got some stuff to do, holiday weekend and whatnot. So let's do some score predictions and let's get out of here, huh?
I was going to say, who wants to make a podcast on Thanksgiving? You know what I mean?
Not me.
Nah, classic. Anyway, yeah, score predictions. Let's go.
Score predictions. Sorry, here we go. 1 second. Here we go. 1 second. Here we go. Packers at Lions.
Lions. So am I.
Yep, same. Lions. Commanders at Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Cowboys indeed. 49ers at Seahawks.
49ers.
49ers. Dolphins at Jets.
The Dolphins.
Jets are starting. Tim Boyle somehow has worse stats than Zach Wilson throughout his career. Going Dolphins. Saints at Falcons.
The Saints, just because Arthur Smith is garbage?
Correct. That's why I'm going with Saints as well. Steelers at Bengals.
Steelers, I hope.
I'm going Steelers too. We talk a lot on this podcast about how bad this team is, and I feel like I pick them every week. I just can't help it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan at heart. Jags at Texans.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on this one when we talked earlier. I'm going to say Jaguars. Texans are a really attractive pick.
And they really are. I'm going to say Jaguars too, but the Texans beat them early in the year. Not only did they beat them, they smoked them early in the year too.
We'll see.
So Texans is the sexy pick here. I feel like they could definitely win. I'm going to go Jags as well. Buccaneers at Colts.
I'm going to go Buccaneers.
Yeah, me too. Bucks. Patriots at Giants.
Giants.
A little Super Bowl rematch. Just how they drew it up. I'm going to go Patriots, I think. I know, you're going to go with Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, they're both pretty bad. Tommy DeVito had a really good game last week, but I mean the teams, not the quarterback themselves. But both teams are pretty awful. I think I'm going to go Patriots.
Isn't Tommy DeVito a Pitt quarterback?
I actually don't know. Maybe.
I think he is, which is going to make me really more sad about Kenny Pickett.
Panthers at Titans.
Panthers at Titans. Let's go Titans.
Going Titans. Rams at Cardinals.
Oh, okay. So I did pick the Rams. I kind of want to pick the Cardinals, but I'm going to stick.
You picked Cardinals, actually.
Did I pick Cardinals?
You did.
No way.
You did.
Oh, then I'm sticking with it.
I'm picking Rams. Browns at Broncos.
Browns at Broncos. Hopefully Broncos, which is definitely a possibility. They're on a 4-game win streak. But I'm gonna go Browns.
I'm gonna go Browns as well, but I think the Broncos could do it. Their offense moves the ball better than we do, and we should have won last week, so they definitely could do it.
Yeah.
Chiefs at Raiders.
Chiefs, if their wide receivers can catch a ball.
Fair. Chiefs. Bills at Eagles.
I'm gonna say the Eagles.
I am too, and that's looking kind of scary for the Bills out there who are trying to make the playoffs. Ravens at Chargers.
Ravens, but go Chargers.
Yeah, I agree. Ravens, but go Chargers. Chargers defense is terrible. Justin Herbert's playing by himself. Look for the Steelers to trade the house to get him in the offseason. Not going to happen. Bears at Vikings.
Vikings.
Vikings, the Dominator. Dobby himself.
Shout out to Jeff for coming this weekend. He's going to go to the game and probably see them lose his favorite team. So,
shout out, Jeff. Thanks for giving us Spider-Man. That's going to be the end of the podcast. Jeff. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm Dominic. This is Chris. You can follow us on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter, or on Facebook, on MySpace, on Ask Jeeves. And Chris, you have any last words?
Do you say Ask Jeans?
Ask Jeeves.
Oh, I have no idea what that is.
You know what Ask Jeeves is?
Go Steelers.
Go Steelers indeed. See you guys next week.
Bye.